Well, so what we want to do today was share with you some vision things we're working on so you all have a feel, hey, where's the mission going? We got some exciting things happening, but it's going to require a few adjustments in how we do things, so we want to keep you all in the loop. Before we begin, though, I like starting with movie clips. So anybody here ever seen the movie City Slickers? Okay. Well, it's the story of some guys that are trying to discover themselves as they're in middle age, and so they go off on this like cattle drive. So this scene is the three friends, and as they're killing time on the trail, they talk to each other about what was the best day of your life and what was the worst day of your life. Okay, so that's the premise. So let's watch the scene.
What is the best day of your life?
I'm 14 and my mother and father are fighting again. You know, because she caught him again. Caught him. This time the girl drove by the house to pick him up. And I finally realized he wasn't just cheating on my mother, he was cheating on us. So I told him. I said, "You're bad to us. We don't love you. I'll take care of my mother and my sister. We don't need you anymore." And he made like he was going to hit me, but I didn't budge. Then he turned around and he left. Never bothered us again. But I took care of my mother and my sister from that day on. That's my best day.
What was your worst day?
Same day.
I really love that scene because I think it's very profound that sometimes we have to grasp the fact that something can at the same time be good and bad. Right? We kind of always think in either or, and a lot of things are either or, but there's a lot of things in life that are both and, okay? Opposites can coexist, right? And that can be confusing until you embrace it. And the reason why I start with that is, to me, that's the good summary of City Mission. Okay, City Mission is a place where opposites are always coexisting. Okay, I came in Wednesday morning, I had a morning meeting, I got in about 9 o'clock, and as I turned the corner, there's two police cars, there's an angry man on the sidewalk, he's screaming, he's yelling, he's upset, he's blaming the mission for his struggles, right? Mike, John was out there yesterday with the same gentleman, the staff is dealing with it, right? And we all know that's very draining. No matter how many times you do it, it literally takes the energy out of you. Okay, so I kind of was drained, even though I wasn't a part of it, just coming into the mission like, oh my gosh, wow. Yep, that's who we are. But then as I came in, Lori handed me a letter. And this letter, so I came in off the sidewalk, police are still out there, and here's what the letter says. To all the people at the City Mission, I'm writing this letter to thank everyone at the City Mission. This is from a former resident. I want to thank everyone for helping me. Just to name a few, I would like to thank Mike Sicola, Mike Harrigan, June, Kermit, Chap Tyrone, Chap Tom, John Mann, Anthony, for all the help they gave me. All the staff at the men's shelter, the kitchen help, especially Mary, Mike, and Charlie, everyone who cooked and cleaned, the girls in the administration office, and everyone else who helped me during my stay. You people are truly God's children and the best people I know. I'm moving on back to a regular life. I will pray for everyone, and you will always be in my thoughts and prayers. Right? So literally, in the course of 2 minutes, I go from someone on the sidewalk who's basically blaming the staff at the mission for the troubles, and then get a letter from someone who says, you are the best people I know. Right? And it's never going to be either or. Right? This month marks my 29th anniversary of being at City Mission. And I think that I could, oh, thank you, Dale. and I think I can honestly say every single one of those days I've had a reason to cry and a reason to rejoice. Every one of those days. The mission is never all one or all the other. Right? So the fact that it's like this is what has earned us great respect and admiration from people in the community. Okay, and I don't think, I guess maybe I have the advantage of being out there more and representing. One thing I want to convey to you all is the enormous respect and admiration you have from people in the community. The first evidence is people give money to us. Right? Just because that's a common occurrence, it should never be commonplace. Right? Let's never take that for granted. City Mission receive no government funding. It's all donations. So every building, every time you get a paycheck, okay, that's somebody invested in us. That's where the money came from. Okay? And let's never take that for granted. People with all these options of what they could spend their money on, they could choose to keep it, or they could spend it on things for themselves, or even if they want to be charitable, there's 100 great charities out there. They choose to give it to us. Right? It's stunning. And they have for all these years, and it's what allows us to keep the doors open and do what we do. Not only do they give us money, but they really do faithfully pray for us. They also come down as volunteers, and don't take that for granted because you see it every day. There's a lot of organizations that have never had a volunteer. People come down for no pay from their time to be with us, to serve alongside of us. I mean, could there be a better endorsement for the work you're doing than that somebody would join you in it for no pay, just because they want to join you in it? When you see a volunteer, not only please try to say thank you, but receive that as a very special affirmation of what you're doing. And it's very easy, particularly those of you who work the second or the third shift and sometimes have to encounter things and no one else sees it. People might not know the specifics of what you do, but generally they do know, and they support you. They invest in you in really remarkable ways. It's incredible talking about volunteers. Not to embarrass him, but I was walking on Broadway last week, and I saw one of the volunteers from the men's center, Mike, who's in a wheelchair. And if you know Mike, he's paralyzed, right? He has a motorized wheelchair because he can't move it with his hands. He has to use and he's coming down Broadway. And I went over, Mike, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm going to the mission. Now, I know Mike lives in Scotia. So not only is it amazing that he will drive his van here, but guess what? The van broke down. Okay, now do you think that's a pretty good excuse not to come in? Paralyzed, I'm in a wheelchair. I live across the bridge. My vehicle broke down, and I'm only a volunteer. But guess what? He came. He crossed the bridge. And there's a lot of construction going on in Broadway. I said, Mike, can you get up to the middle? He goes, I'll get there. Wow. That's incredible. It's incredible. If you're wondering, do people respect what you do? Do they appreciate what you do? Yeah, be assured they do. Last night, we had an event over at TransFinder. It was a VIP fundraiser for the ambassadors. So I'm glad we have a couple ambassadors here, right? And so TransFinder is that big fancy building on State Street. We were up on the 4th floor balcony. It was really a who's who of all the movers and shakers in downtown Schenectady. The region's biggest developer there, the guy who is building Mohawk Harbor, was there. Told me how much he loves the mission. You know what he says he loves particularly? When he comes in to drop off clothes, how he's treated in the driveway. So that really impresses him, right? The mayor was there, and the city of Schenectady won an award, as it's called the Smart Cities Award. Only 2 winners in the whole country, Austin, Texas, and Schenectady. And Walmart gave the city a $15,000 grant. The mayor is giving it to the ambassadors program. Think about that. All that's going on in the city of Schenectady, he could have split it up. He could have given it to anybody. right? He chose to give it all to our downtown ambassadors to grow that program. How's that for an endorsement and a sign of respect? So again, when you struggle, and if you work at City Mission, you will struggle. But keep in mind, that's why people give. That's why they pray. That's why they volunteer. Folks, if what we did was easy, people wouldn't give us money. Okay, they wouldn't. When they send money, they're saying, wow, that's hard. I'm not sure I could do that. But somebody needs to do it. Thank you. Thank you for doing it. Okay, so please make that part of how you do your work here. So when you have such support in the community, you really have two options. One option is we can choose to play it safe and say, okay, we're pretty well respected. Let's kind of, be very careful. Or we can take a risk to accomplish even more. So hopefully you already know what we've decided to do. Okay? We've decided to take a risk to accomplish even more. Right? That's not me. Those of you who know, that's the nature of following Jesus. I think one of my favorite gospel scenes is in Luke 5, where Jesus says to Peter, after Jesus used his boat, he was out in the water a little bit, he was preaching. He said, all right, Peter, now put out in the deep water and let down your nets for a catch. Right? And I've learned Jesus is always calling us to deep water. And you got to understand this. There's a saying in the military. Anybody here ever served in the military? Okay, Mike, John. There's a saying in the military that in the military, the reward for a tough job well done is the next tough job. All right, think about that. That if you do a tough job well, you get the next tough job because the commanders know you can do it. Right? So when you're following Jesus as a ministry, the reward for a tough job well done is you get another tough job. Okay? So our reward is not that we get to be comfortable, not that people stop shouting at us across the street, not that everybody agrees with us, not that the job always goes well. The reward is we get more tough assignments. That's the reward. Right? So we can make an even greater impact. So that's what we've chosen to do. So I want to look at what's next. The first thing that's next is we bought a new building. We just closed on it, okay, a couple weeks ago. This is on Union Street, okay, right next to St. John the Evangelist Church. We're calling it is the Union Street campus of Schenectady Works. But please note it's also going to be a resource center for mission ministries. Lindsay, go to the next one. You can see it's a nice building, beautiful building, 7,600 square feet. One more, Lindsay. Okay? And then we've got a beautiful, so leave right there. It's got a beautiful courtyard. Okay? So we know Schenectady Works is going to be going in there because Schenectady Works grows so fast, I can't get a big enough building for them. So, but this is 7,600 square feet, so there should be some room to grow. But it's not going to be only for Schenectady Works. You see that? We're going to make that a beautiful courtyard. We expect to have graduate fellowship events there. It's going to be the Getting Ahead headquarters. It's got a kitchen. We expect to have a lot of dinners. We're going to offer Bridges to Freedom classes there, rebuild classes. It's going to become one of our volunteer training centers. Okay, so we're going to be investing a lot into this building, okay, so that it's not only an incredible place for the team of Schenectady Works, but be assured it's 0.9 miles from here. When we went to visit the other day, Robin and Jesse and I walked there, so it's an easy walk. City Mission, you all who are on this campus will be using it a lot as well. Okay, so that's project number one, and here's the next project. Okay, that's Lafayette Street. So, we have the apartments, the transitional housing apartments, and we're hoping this fall to start construction on 8 more apartments. So we will kind of move the townhouses right down. There will be 8 two-bedroom apartments there. So that can either be for a mom and children, or it can be a couple people together. So we can house up to 16 people in those apartments. So that's going to be a big adventure for us as well. We've already got approvals from the city of Schenectady. I just have to get final approvals on that concept drawing, and we will start wearing hard hats around here again. So that's going to be really exciting. Our transitional housing program's been a great project for us. So we're also going to be renovating, figuring out what to do with Jacobs Well, the Family Life Center. Denise is putting together a long list for me there. I told her stop writing, but she keeps on going. We got some furnishing upgrades. We got some investments to make in FLC. Dining center always. Lloyd and his team, when you serve 230,000 meals a year, it's a lot of wear and tear. So we're making some upgrades there. Men's always. Distribution center. We have Sandy from, everybody knows Sandy, wave. Please wave to us. Sandy is our Route 50 thrift store. So Sandy is the northern campus. So great to have Sandy. And Sandy and her team do an amazing job representing City Mission and serving people in Glenville. Okay, some of you don't even know, maybe haven't been there, but we'll be making investments for Sandy. If you look around the crowd, you'll see two very tired men, Joe and Bobby, because every time I build a new building, they have to maintain it. Okay, but they're up to the task because those two guys can do anything. God in them. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that we have to raise an additional probably about $3 million. Okay, that's in addition to the money we have to raise. It costs $5 million a year to run the mission. So in addition to raising that $5 million, we're going to go out and raise $3 million more. So that really is deep water. Okay? It'd be easy if we already had the money. God loves us too much for that. You see, the way God likes to work is, okay, I've called you, okay, now jump. I'll catch you. But you can never know the thrill of being caught if you don't take the leap. Right? You'll never know there is a God who can catch you until you've jumped. Okay, then you get the thrill that, wow, I took a leap of faith and he caught me. And guess what? He'll always catch me. He'll always catch me as I'm following him. So that's really my responsibility to do that. Okay, that's my challenge. We all have jobs to do. That's my job to go and raise that money for our ministries. It will require me to spend a lot of time away from the mission over the next several months. Meeting with people, telling our story, asking them to make an even greater investment in the work you all are doing at City Mission. So obviously we don't stop operating, do we? So we still have to run 24/7. Programs are growing. So the way we're going to deal with the fact that I'll be absent from the campus quite a bit over the next series of months is we've established an executive team here. Okay, and the executive team consists of Denise Cokes, Tim Castle, Robin Messick, Mike Harrigan, and Nathan Monsager. Mike will be taking on leadership responsibilities for the campus. Okay, so Mike will kind of be working with the team, but overseeing what happens on the 425 block. But the reason what's unique about this team is each one has always been responsible for their department. But what's unique about this executive team is they're going to cross-train and support each other in each other's departments. Okay, so that's when you're growing the way we're growing. You can't just have departments as silos, right? Even though Sandy's out there on Route 50, even though Schenectady Works is on Yates Street, soon to be Union Street, we have to integrate with each other, right? We have some Empower Health workers here, and they know that if they're serving someone on the street, they need to be able to access the resource of City Mission, whether it's clothing or shelter or whatever. So we have to have a seamless. They can't be like knocking on somebody else's door. It's their door. Okay, so we have to have a seamless thing. So you may see Denise supporting something that's going on in men's. You will see Mike Harrigan at the FLC. You'll see Robin at the FLC. You'll see, and you have seen recently, everybody at the dining center, right? When we created Home Run Dining Services, we said the dining center isn't just 5 people that work there. It's the whole campus. Okay, Nathan will be working very hard to make sure that there's really a synergy between the Schenectady Works team and the main campus so that we're supporting each other prayerfully in terms of fellowship, but also as we're running our programs. So that's going to take a lot of work. That's a big challenge to be doing that, okay? We want to build cross-departmental collaborations to ensure a universal city mission culture. And that's our 5-star culture. And what I mean by that is whether you walk into the FLC, the dining center, the administration building, the Route 50 store, the distribution center, Yates Street, okay, men's, walk into the Arc, anytime you enter a city mission building, you should know you're in the same place. Okay, it might serve a different purpose, but that culture speaks to you. You're breathing the same air. Okay, you're tasting the same food in the sense that 5-star service is delivered in every department, and we can't create that universal collaborative strength culturally unless the representative of those departments are forming a unified team where they are really picking each other up, challenging each other, and supporting each other. So again, Denise, Robin, Tim, Mike, and Nathan will be forming that executive team. So don't be surprised if someone other than your traditional department head is playing a leadership role in the work you're doing. The executive team will be working that out. So for me, we're going to be running a very intense, what for me is going to be kind of an operations sabbatical. So from tomorrow, June 16th, until Tuesday, September 4th, my goal is to be on the campus as little as possible. Not that I don't love being here. The biggest challenge is I love it too much. That's why it's hard to get me out of here, because this is where I love to be. But the deep water for me is out there, and that's where I need to be. Okay? And I have absolute total trust in this executive team, as I do in all of you, that not only will you get by without me, you will thrive. You will thrive and take this facility, this campus, this ministry, this calling to levels that I can't imagine. That really is my prayer. This is not a period of time that we're trying to hang in there. No, I'm expecting everybody to thrive and grow and raise this to a new level. Okay? I couldn't place greater trust in all of you than to make this commitment not to be around as much. When I am around, it'll be more with our residents. Okay, less with the department heads, okay, going over operations, but more having meals with people, maybe being at the pavilion, more just, because that will fuel me. Because keep in mind, I have to go out to diverse people and get them excited about what's happening at the mission. And the first source of that is being with our folks. Not simply their victories, but their tears as well. Their struggles as well, okay? And encourage all of you, if you've got a good story, email it to me, because that's my job to collect your stories and then share them with other people. I'll tell you this, at this ambassadors gathering last night, you had probably, I think it's fair to say, 30 of the most influential people in Schenectady. And they were applauding again and again about what's happening at City Mission. Okay, and literally coming up to me and saying, this is amazing. One woman who was from out of town said, do you really do this? This ambassadors and all that you're doing at the mission? I only gave what was it, Robin, a 5-minute talk, right? So when we get them on this campus, they'll be even more amazed. Although I always make clear, people ask me how are things going at the mission. I say, things are mission good. Okay, and here's what I mean by mission good. They're falling apart. We're on the edge of disaster. It's messy, but God's bringing fruit. Okay, let me never try to convey to anybody that we've got some magic formula that it's struggle-free, it's neat and tidy. No, come on. We're an emergency room for souls. It's messy. It's messy. But there's healing. There's healing. And when there's healing, there's also screaming at times. And there's crying and there's running away. But make no mistake about it, God's bringing fruit. Right? God's moving in the midst of it. And you are the vessels through which He is moving to bring healing and hope. Where there was only brokenness and despair. That's what you all do. So that's kind of where we're going. We just wanted to spend a few minutes to kind of get you caught up since I'll be starting my new direction tomorrow. So anybody have any questions? We just want to open up for a few minutes for Q&A. Eddie, if you want to ask your question in Spanish, that's great. Eddie's one of my Spanish tutors. He sent me an email yesterday, had some Spanish sentences in there. And I boldly wrote it back in Spanish. Then I said, Eddie, is that close to what way it should be? And he kindly said, it's okay. So anybody have any questions about where we're going or more details on Union Street or Lafayette Street project or campus projects? Yes, Lauren.
Have we bought all the properties?
Yes, yes, great question. We have all the property. Those were all buildings. John Mans can remember, right? It was all old housing. We've torn it down. It's shovel ready.
Oh, okay. Great.
So we are ready to go. And I would really say in a project like that, that's the hardest thing in a city is acquiring the land. Because it's not easy. You got to buy houses. You got to tear them down. So it is ready to go. And again, Lord willing, next spring at the latest, but we're hoping this fall to start construction. Yeah, great. Thank you. Yes, Tom.
Rough timeline on the other building?
Yeah, great question. Okay, we own it. And we've got our contractors in there putting the list together. The one thing that's delaying a little bit is that building is in a historical district. So you have to get clearance on the changes you make. So we're not doing many external changes. Thanks, Lindsay. I see Robin's whispering in Lindsay's ear. Because right now Lindsay's daydreaming about lunch. Okay? So Lindsay's thinking, maybe I'll put mayonnaise on that sandwich. I've never done that before. And Robin's elbowing her, saying, advance the slides, Lindsay. Okay? So anyway. So Tom, we're going to get started ASAP. We expect it to be about 3-4 months. We got to put a new roof on it, new HVAC system. Not a lot of renovations. It's nothing dramatic, but it's enough. Those things take time. You got to get the contractors there. So we're hoping by fall, certainly, to be in there and to be up and running. But we want to do it right before we get everybody moved in. So, Mary? Yeah. Good. How are you, Mary? Yeah, great question. So Union Street, okay, first thing is all of Schenectady works. So you will have the Employer Resource Network will be in there. Nathan and Imani as administrators. You'll have Empower Health will be based out of there. Ambassadors will have headquarters there, but they'll also have some downtown-based places, so they don't have to walk up there after shifts and all that. We will also, very important, it's going to be getting ahead headquarters. So one thing I said, Mary, there's a kitchen there, so we expect to have a lot of meals with getting ahead groups. We'll be having our graduates fellowship meetings up there. There's going to be a lot of celebrations. Nicole will be running volunteer trainings. Lindsay, can you go back to the first slide? Yeah, that white building there is where the cross is. Isn't it great? We got a building that had a cross on it. That's like going to be a training center. So we will have, it'll kind of be like this room. You'll have projectors and good sound. So whether it's a Bridges training, so our Bridges team will be up there, what we call our professional development offices. So we can do Bridges training in there. We can do volunteer trainings. We'll be running Bridges to Freedom classes in there, just to kind of get a change of scenery, right? Especially in the winter where kind of these walls get old for people. Denise and Mike and the team may choose to say, let's run this group out of Union Street. We'll just drive people up there. So it's going to, a lot's going to be going on there. There may even be some administrative offices that go there, just based on what the space looks like. So it'll be a busy place. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, John? Yeah, there will be, John. What I'll be doing this summer is we'll be doing a real thorough walkthrough with Joe and Mike and the team, the whole executive team. The whole executive team is going to plan a campus walk-around. And we will go there and we will look at every facility and talk about it. So that's great. So those of you who work in men's or FLC, be thinking about things that need to be made better. Okay, things that could be improved, because we will be a process this summer. These two projects get us going. They're ready to go. The others will need to be gleaning from all of you what would make the facility better. So, like one thing we're going to planning, John, is keyless entry. Okay, so if you have to stand and try to get through these doors, we don't know how much we can do, but all of our facilities, at least the exteriors, will have like a fob to get in, so we won't have to be moving as much keys. So that's something I'm excited about. We brought a contractor in. We just got to see how far we can go with that. Can we do all the interior doors? But so we'll be gleaning that from all of you, and then it'll come down to getting that final mark of how much do we need to raise to do all this. But the keyless entry things will be completed this summer into fall. That we've already set the money aside from some donors to be able to do that. So be thinking about it. That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? These are great questions. Yes. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. This building, to me, God not only moves practically, but God also moves symbolically. God is not only a scientist, God is an artist. And artists convey things that are beyond words. And I was sharing with Eddie and the team, this building does that because the building, the front part of the building is Union College. Okay, literally looks out onto the Union campus. The back part is Eastern Avenue, which is more of an under-resourced community. And it struck me that God calls the mission to be a bridge between those two communities. To say it's not Eastern Avenue versus Union College. Unfortunately, in our society, that's what people do, right? It's this group against this group, and they're holding you back. Our calling as the mission is to say, no, 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 we're a community. And guess what, Union College, you need Eastern Avenue. You need how God has gifted those people. And guess what, Eastern Avenue? You need Union. Stop glaring at each other from across the street and seeing each other as a threat. Rather, build a bridge to each other, and that's what community is. And you say that, what I said at the ambassadors event last night, that in very few cities does the business community have a relationship with the shelter the way we have in Schenectady. Why is that? Because the ambassadors have demonstrated in a very real way that the men and women who come through the mission have unique gifts, unique experiences, unique insights that those businesses need, right? And likewise, our folks need businesses to do well, to offer employment, right? The whole ERN is premised on that, right? That it's not the employees versus the business, but how do we help employees thrive in business and more profitable businesses take better care of employees, right? Empower Health is all that, right? It's not the under-resourced against health care, but how do we help the under-resourced access health care in a way that's more affordable but makes them healthier? See, it's all win-win, and so I appreciate you bringing that, Eddie. That building, to me, symbolically, God's also reminding us that's what I'm calling you to, not to pick a side, but to be a bridge, right? Connecting the two. So, gracias, mi hermano. Mucho apreciado para tu wisdom, whatever the word is for wisdom. Oh, thank you, Eddie. How about these are great questions. Thank you. Yes.
Just point out, Eddie, I don't know if everybody knows, but Eddie's going to be nationally recognized at a Bridges Out of Poverty national conference. And,
yeah, let's give Eddie a round of applause for that. How many Getting Ahead graduates do we have in the room? Okay, Getting Ahead graduates. Okay, this is at the conference in Atlanta. They're really promoting Getting Ahead, and Eddie will be honored as Getting Ahead graduate who's kind of leading the way. And I had a great conversation with Phil Duvall yesterday, who wrote Getting Ahead and Just Getting By World. And he's always calling the mission to kind of say, what's going on in Schenectady? And he just released a book, and he's got a lot of Schenectady stuff in there. So God has placed us not only on the cutting edge in Schenectady, but trust me, I don't say this in a bragging way, we are gaining some significant national attention for what God's doing right here amongst us. How's that for grace? Right? Great. Thank you, Donna. Any other questions? Sandy will be coming out your way to talk about improvements we can make. So really, I can't stress this enough, even though the centerpiece right now is Lafayette and Union, the whole campus, we will really be intentionally, because when you do a big campaign, you kind of got to do it all. You can't do it and then go back the next year and say, oh, we forgot about these things. So you got to get it all together, and it's terrifying when those numbers get up to 3-4 million. But I don't see how it can be called a faith-based ministry if it's not terrifying, right? Then why would it be faith? You know? So that's kind of where we are. Yes, Lindsay. Jacob's Well. Well, that's what we have to decide. The real test is going to be, do we renovate it or do we tear it down and put something new up there? Smarter minds than me will determine that. But that's fundamentally, you know, it's empty right now. We don't want it to be empty for much longer. Is it a renovation project or a tear down and something new? You know, one vision that I have, I'm not saying we're doing this, I'd like to build a fitness center for the mission. Those of you who've done Step Up Moment, it's been very successful. When you combine that with Empower Health, I'd love to have our own fitness center where it's not only a place to come and get exercise, but to come together socially as well. Right? There's a Bridges, that social capital. You know, people need to hang out together too, but hang out in a place that's edifying, a place that's uplifting, a place that wants to build rather than tear down. So that's a dream of mine, that people could come and be a part of that with us. So thank you for that question, Lindsay. Yeah. All right, well, listen, you guys have been tremendous. Thank you for all you've done. I think I can honestly say to you, buckle up. Put your seatbelts on, because we're going out fast to deep water. But I also promise you, if you hang in there, if you'll stay faithful, it'll be the adventure of a lifetime. And you can't ask for more than that, right?